My name's Don Isaac. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Research and Grants. And we host these sabbatical presentations. And I'm pleased to initiate this year's set of faculty sabbatical presentations by introducing our speaker, Dr. Chong Yu. He's the Director of Data Analytics in the Office of Institutional Research. And as you know, when you signed in, this presentation is being recorded for posting on the ORG YouTube channel. Okay, so there is an advantage here of not meeting in person, and that is it's easily recorded and saved for others who are not able to make this time. I was on the search committee in 2011 when Dr. Yu applied for a faculty position here at APU in the Department of Psychology. And I still remember at the time, one of his recommenders from Arizona State University saying that Dr. Yu is, quote, a genuine Renaissance person. That was his recommendation. And you might ask, right? I asked, well, why would someone say that? And for starters, Dr. Yu has 2 bachelor's degrees from Bemidji State University. One is in visual arts, the other is in mass communication. He has 2 master's degrees from the University of Oklahoma, 3. Oh, well, there's some certificates in there, and I might have missed some. You know, I'm a physicist, so I could lose track. But I'm aware of 2 master's degrees from the University of Oklahoma, one in human relations and the other in education. And if I'm not mistaken, 2 PhDs from Arizona State University, one in philosophy and the other in educational psychology. So, wow, I think you get the point here, okay? Since he changed departments a couple years ago, I found it hard to get his CV, his updated CV on the APU website. It might be there somewhere, but the one I could get a hold of was 2012. And at that time, he had 52 journal articles, okay? And so I'm sure that it's well past 100 now, but I don't have documentation of that. And who knows how many books. And I might add that last year, Dr. Yu, along with a former student, published an excellent book titled Creating Changes in Science and Math Education, Lessons from Hong Kong. And that book was really instructive on how individuals learn, how people will learn math, and all the while he discussed that, he provided really some fascinating insights into comparisons of cultures between Asian and North American societies. And I know all this because last Christmas, that was a pricey book, and I bought that book as a Christmas present to myself. And I read it during my COVID month sitting at home, so I was really enriched by that. Well, Dr. Yu is obviously has many interests and areas of expertise. His current primary focus, if there is such a thing for Dr. Yu, is data science and ensuring that APU is not left behind in this age of data science and big data. He has unbelievable knowledge and expertise with analytical methods and software systems. In fact, there's hardly a conference that he doesn't go to where when he comes back, he's got some type of outstanding achievement or certificate award from the conference. And so why don't I just stop with all my talking and just say today, Dr. Yu will speak on data mining and exploration from traditional statistics to modern data science. Dr. Yu.
Okay, thank you very much.
By the way, I just want to add that there will be a time of question and answer, hopefully, at the end, and we'll end at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Okay. So you mean my talk will end at 1 p.m. and then the Q&A will start after 1 p.m., right?
The whole meeting is over at
Okay,
1, so
okay, yeah.
you want to give at least maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes before
Okay.
1 to
Yes,
stop.
sure. Okay, so my name is Yu. I am Yu. Call me Hey Yu. Well, I know that the topic is a bit controversial or even emotional. So I will make sure I will have enough time for Q&A, for comments, for debate, and so on. So my topic is from traditional statistics to modern data science. First, last year I had a bold plan. Well, I want to travel around the world to visit AI lab, to learn more cutting edge research method, technology, and so on. However, my dream was broken. Well, no more travel. Okay, just stay home. Okay, so what should I do? How should I spend my time? Well, I submit a book proposal to a publisher. I want to, write about my research, my ideas, and the proposal was approved. So I received a book contract with from CRC Press. The book title is Today's Presentation Topic, Data Mining and Exploration. Okay, now let me start with a story, not a true story. Once upon a time, a young professor named Carl Fisher, he earned his degree back in 1981. He became a professor of statistics. His course covers all major important essential concepts and procedures in the field, like t-test, ANOVA, Pearson coefficient, least square regression, chi-square, and so on. Okay. However, one day he was hit by a truck. Well, then he fell into a deep coma for 3 decades. In 2021, this year, he woke up. Oh, by God's grace, yeah, okay. So he woke up, and he could, he could recover. He recovered well. He was able to, to function mentally. Then he wanted to, to look for a job, but he was afraid. Well, okay, can I get a job? So I have a 30-year gap, a 30-year information gap. Can I ever catch up? He worried about his future. Then he looked at, current syllabus and textbook, and he feel, okay, thanks God, now I feel good. He looked at many syllabi, also a textbook. He found that the content remained unchanged for 3 decades. Same old, t-test, ANOVA, Pearson coefficient, least square regression, chi-square, you name it, and so on. Then he said, well, okay, no problem. I can teach again. I don't need to take any additional professional development to catch up. Okay, I can right now go back to teach, to do research. Okay, well, so the story is not a real story, but in some sense, this is true. We are frozen. We are frozen in time. We are trapped in a bubble. Okay. We are not aware of what is happening in the world. Today, when you attend any conference hosted by the industry, when you go beyond academic. You look around like corporations, Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, and so on. You see these terms, right? Deep learning, big data, data science, machine learning, AI, and so on. You name it. Well, so okay, what's happening in the world? Well, okay, about a week ago, I attended a conference. I try to, to stay current. So whenever there are conference related to data, related to analysis, I try to attend. Okay. So a week ago, I attend DataCon 2021. Okay, this one is the largest data science conference in LA. They have over 1,000 attendees every year. I think this year they announced they have about 1,500 plus people register. Okay, now look at their keynote speaker. So when you look carefully, when you look at their title, all of them are from corporations, from the industry. Some are big names like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, right? Yeah. None of them is faculty. None of them is from higher ed. So how about a presenter? Okay. Once again, when you look at those presenters, all of them, well, not all, but 99.9% of them, the majority are from the industry, from corporations. There are some big names. Once again, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. So are there anyone from higher ed? Well, there are some. Oh, you see everyone, at last, yeah, somebody from academic. Wait a minute, not yet. Okay, not so. Look at his title, engineer. So although he's from higher ed, but actually he's not a faculty. And there's only one faculty. He's he just earned his Ph.D. Okay. So what is the message? Well, perhaps there is some disconnect between the industry and academic, right? Okay. So now let's revisit. Now look at what we are doing, what we are teaching, what are covered in our syllabus, in our textbook. I mentioned, some traditional method, right? Like a t-test, ANOVA, chi-square, and so on. Okay, what are those methods, procedures? The least square regression that now most people are using for prediction to build predictive model. Okay, the least square criterion for regression analysis was discovered in 1805 when my great-grandfather was born. Okay, Pearson coefficient, the most common way for researchers to detect association relationship. Okay, it was proposed in 1892. Okay, when my grandfather was born. Okay, how about a chi-square? 1900. How about t-test? 1908. ANOVA, 1930. Okay, so no wonder they are considered classical procedures. The question is, are there something better, more powerful now? Yes, of course. So now, there are a lot of modern, more powerful procedure, research method For example, convolutional neural network, CNN, and not that CNN, not the cable news. This CNN was developed around 1980. Partition tree, 1984. C4.5 algorithm, 1993. Gradient boost tree, 1997. Random forest, 2001. Elastic net, 2005. Adaptive lasso, 2006. XGBoost, the most powerful predictive model. So it was invented in 2014, brand new, fresh. Okay. So the question is the algorithms developed in 21st century, would they be more powerful than those classical procedure invented in the 19th century? So now we are comparing, 19th century and 21st century technology. And okay, which one is more powerful? Well, you know the answer, right? Yeah. So what are the difference between a classical and modern method? Number one, first, the new approach is more efficient. The algorithm, like machine learning, AI, deep learning, developed in the late 20th and early 21st century, are more efficient than those created in the late 19th and early 20th centuries.
Does that mean I'm noted about it or not?
Can you mute yourself?
CC.
Dave, can you mute?
Yeah. All right. See, I'm unclear sometimes when I send those messages if they go to you or not. So it's kind of hard for me to tell because I think the last message included.
Dave, can you mute?
I was asking what your opinion was, and then I didn't hear anything.
Okay, let's go.
Dave Harmeyer.
I don't think that it gets to you when I don't. Just
we use deep learning, machine learning to build a system to recommend.
So I just need to figure out how to get that.
To recommend,
so you're okay with him?
Dave,
he's planning to come here.
Dave, can you mute yourself?
Oh, sure. Right. Sorry.
Okay. Where
so
am I?
This is the reference desk at Marshburn Library.
Okay. So now, YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, and Google, and so on, they use a modern algorithm to conduct profile analysis to recommend, if the customer like this, chances are you may also want to buy that and so on. So now, even using a laptop with only 16 gigabit RAM, you can build the entire model in less than half an hour, even though your observation, your sample size is count in a million. Even if you have thousands of predictors, but you can do it. Why? Because 21st century program are much more efficient. Let's say you turn to the classical methods using least square regression. Well, you may need a supercomputer to do that. For example, Amazon. Some people use Amazon SageMaker. SageMaker is a program. It's a program for predictive modeling. When somebody try to apply SageMaker to detect online fraud, even though the sample size is gigantic, count in millions, no problem. It takes only half an hour, to execute the program, and the cost is less than $10 a month. Moreover, the accuracy, the performance improved 25%. The main point is that you don't need a supercomputer to do that. What it takes is like 8-core CPU and 32 gig of RAM. Wow, this is amazing. When I was a student, for any high-level scientific visualization, Monte Carlo simulation, you need a Cray, YMP, you need a supercomputer. But today, you can do it. You can do it with a laptop, if you have the right program, the software tool to do that. Okay, so now let's go further. Let's look deeper. What is the difference between classical procedure and modern methods? So the old way is based upon so-called the cutoff, the alpha level, and you collect data. Then the conclusion is yes or no. You either reject or not to reject the predetermined hypothesis based on an absolute criterion, alpha level 0.05. Well, by doing so, then the researchers, they tend to perform so-called p-hacking. Whatever it takes, I want to, I will run every test and hopefully, eventually, ultimately, okay, I can get one test telling me that the p-value is 0.04 or 0.05. Yeah, reject the no discovery. I can publish. Yeah, I get promotion. Okay, thank you. Well, p-hacking. Well, however, now the new approach, not only the algorithm is more efficient, more accurate, but also the philosophy, the foundational philosophy is totally different. Rather than look for one single cutoff, one single point estimate. The question is, what is the overall pattern? The objective is pattern recognition, pattern seeking. The decision is no longer based on one single cutoff point. Rather, like AIC, BIC, this number do not, they tell you, well, okay, now you should accept the theory and so on. Rather, it's for reference, for model comparison. When you run multiple model, then you want to see which one is more most efficient, most optimal, based on comparison. It's not absolute. Okay, next, confirmation and explanation. When we use classical method, then the objective is to confirm or disconfirm the theory or the model, right? You collect data, then you want to, so you want to test something that you have already in mind. Okay, the problem is, when you approach the problem in this way, it's very easy for you to fall into the trap of confirmation bias. When you already have a theory, a strong theory, you collect data. Of course, you are looking for data to confirm your theory, right? Confirmational bias. Okay. However, when you perform machine learning, when you perform data mining, the objective is totally different. It's no longer theory driven. Rather, this is data driven. You do not presuppose any strong theory. You may examine like 100 or 1,000 or even 2,000, 4,000 potential factors, predictors, and then you let the data speak for themselves. You let a story emerge from the data. Rather, you have a pre-built theory. Okay, next, single method and triangulation. So most researchers, when they employ traditional research method, they collect data and then they run least square regression, ANOVA, t-test, and so on. And usually one single analysis, one single sample, and then they reach the conclusion. So I don't mean, people use only one test. Usually people use several tests. However, by single method, I mean, there is no other variant, no other version. Let's say, regression is only least square regression. There are no, regression A, version B, and so on. Okay, ANOVA, just one ANOVA. There isn't like, okay, ANOVA version A, ANOVA version 2, and so on. So usually just one single modeling method. However, now the game, okay, now is a game changer. The game is totally different. We emphasize triangulation, which means, you may run multiple model for comparison. For example, like regression, when you run penalized regression, they are multiple options. You may, use a lasso, ridge regression, elastic lag, adaptive lasso, and so on. When you want to classify, to predict, so you can use a support vector machine, random forest, booster, and so on. So you do not approach the data from one perspective. Rather, you may run multiple models, and then you do something called the inference to the best explanation, IBE. Okay, single sample and CV, cross validation. Back then, usually we collect a single sample. Statistic, by definition, is, you infer from one sample statistic to the entire population. Let's say you obtain a sample from APU or UCLA. Okay, then you infer the student at APU and UCLA to the entire US population, all students. The problem is, well, how about sampling bias? How about sampling error? And usually you use all observation in the sample. The problem is the conclusion might be subject to overfitting. What does it mean? It means the conclusion might be good for APU sample, UCLA sample, but when you change the setting, then the overfit conclusion, the overfit model, which is good for APU and UCLA, may not be good for UC Berkeley or ASU in Phoenix. That's why now we have a crisis called replication crisis. In many peer review journal, even high impact review journal. So people found that the findings report in those high impact factor peer review journal cannot be replicated. Yeah, so it's a big problem. You cannot replicate those findings, but not for Amazon, not for Google. In industry, they employ something totally different. So usually they collect big data. Amazon, Google, YouTube, you name it. Okay. Every day, Google, Amazon, they may have like, millions of transactions or events. Then they are able to partition the data into subset. And then they use a model to repeat the same analysis over and over across all subsets, all subsample. Why do they do that? Avoid overfitting. When you use all your observation in one sample, then you do a model. the model must look good, right? Yeah, okay, the algorithm will go after the data, to find the best fit. But however, when you partition your data, and then you use a subset to propose a model, and then you can fine tune the model by subsequent subsamples and subsets. Okay, small data and big data. So usually when you conduct research in a traditional way, let's say experiment, so you may recruit like 40, 50 students coming to your lab, and then you have control group, treatment group, and so on. Usually you have a small sample size, and also the data are self-report. You may use a survey, tell me about your perception, strongly agree, strongly disagree, and so on. The problem is, how can you know people really tell you okay, what they actually did? How can you know that people are honest? How can you know that people can correctly recall the detail in the past? And also, usually the data are well structured, which means they are numbers. They are numbered in a row by column table. But now the new game, is totally different. Big data. A big misconception about big data is that people think, oh, big data means a bigger sample size. Not really. Not only the size is bigger, but also the nature. The nature of the data are different. First, most are behavioral data. Google, YouTube, Amazon, and so on. They don't need to ask you what you did. They know what you did. Yeah. Every time you open Google, you search something. Okay, every time you log in on Amazon to buy something, to browse around their website, they have your behavioral data. And every time I turn on my cell phone, my cell phone. So, I create data for everybody. I think now on inside my cell phone, they are like 15 to the 20, no, I think more than that. They are about like 25 apps. They collect my data. They know what I did, right? Yeah, the restaurant I visit, the gym, I visit, they know about me, everything. These are behavioral data. These are real data. You no longer report, you no longer report what you did. They know exactly what you did. More. So, okay, back then we only have structured data, well-structured numbers in a row by column table. But today, data are no longer just, some number in Excel spreadsheet. Data could be, your post on Facebook, social media, Twitter, right? Also, when you use your GPS, your traffic. When you open your Google Chrome, Firefox, your web browser, the web server user log data, so it could be structured, it could be semi-structured, it could be unstructured. So now they have technology to analyze all types of data, no matter the data are structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. Okay, rich data. Okay, so now let's turn to their common ground. My book title is From Traditional Statistics to Modern Data Science. I will not say, okay, I would never say, well, from this point on, you can close your textbook, you know, you can just kids t-test, t-test, peace and kind goodbye. No, okay, I won't say that. Actually, you can make a natural logical transition. There are some common ground. Okay, for example, I mentioned like a lasso, right? Lasso regression, risk regression, elastic net. Those procedures are built on top, built on the framework of regression, still regression. Also, now they are powerful procedure to make prediction, to classify, you know, students who are at risk. We call decision tree, also known as recursive partition tree. One of the criteria to classify, to predict is called log worth. And this is a variant of the p-value. Okay. Also, random forest, also known as bootstrap forest. The logic is the same as bootstrapping in resampling. Okay. Also, I talk about like the new procedure. The new procedure partition a big sample into subsample, and then you know, use the first subset to train the model. Okay, this idea is a concept in resampling, partitioning the data into subsample. Okay, this one, you know, is not totally new. You can find the concept in classical procedure. The bottom line is the old and the new. They are not totally contradictory, you know, and there could be a natural and logical transition. Okay, so, okay, now time for demo. Okay, I want to tell you, okay, well, you may say, wow, you know, what you are saying sounds great. Okay, I want to see some action. Where's the beef? Okay, where's the beef? Okay, okay, now, okay, I will do some brief demos. Okay, what you are seeing is a data set, PISA, P-I-S-A. PISA stands for Program for International Student Assessment. What you see is a subset, not the full set. PISA assessment is from OECD. OECD stands for Organization for Economic and Collaborative Development. Every 3 years, they give assessment to their member countries and some non-member nations, about 80. So in each country or each region, they collect data. I mean, test data from around 5,000 to 6,000 students. So every country, every nation, you know, they take about 5,000 to 6,000 observation for sampling. So now, you know, I only use a subset, 3,000 from Hong Kong. Okay, and also the real PISA, the full set, they have the 100 of potential predictors. Not only they collect test score, but also, you know, they collect everything, like, you know, your family, your parents, and also your teacher, your school. So they try to, you know, to find out the potential factors that can contribute to better test performance. Okay, now you know, for this demo, I will look at science. Okay, so I want to see, like, you know, whether household background, like home possession, cultural possession at home, resources for education, family wealth, teacher, how they teach, and also, also some perception of well-being, subjective well-being, like meaning in life, and so on. So here you have some subjective perception score, but also something more objective, like how much your household, your family have. So how can I use them, to predict, let's say, a math score? Okay, now I will do this. I will go to predictive modeling, and then go to model screening. My objective is I want to see what factors can predict math performance. Okay, so I put math into Y, the outcome variable. Now I put everything else. Okay, so your household background, your subjective perception. Okay, now look at this one. Okay, so I could check every box, run every model, right? I told you before, right? Rather than counting on a single method, okay, I can, run several models to perform model comparison. Okay, so I will run, let's say, decision tree, bootstrap forest, boost tree, okay, neural network. Okay, let's see what, regression, least square regression, stepwise regression, and okay, now for now, okay, I will select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 modeling methods. But as mentioned before, right, I don't want to run any analysis using all observation. Rather, I tell the program, okay, I want to partition the sample into subsample. The first one is to propose a model for training, but then the second subset will be used to verify the model, to fine-tune the model. So here, is subsetting, partitioning. Here is multi-modeling. Okay, now let's do it. Okay, so wow. Remember, I'm using a laptop, not a supercomputer, but I'm able to run seven model with 3,000 observation in like a few seconds. Okay, now, okay, what is that? Well, okay, let me briefly go over that. So now, I have all this result, so here is the decision tree modeling. Okay, this is the random forest. Okay, so I have the results for each modeling, for each model. This is boosting. So this is neural network. This is this is the good old least square regression, and then this is stepwise regression, and then okay. So now, I have the training, the first subsample for proposing a model, but at the end, okay, I get this final model, the model are fine-tuned based on the first subset. Okay, now what shall I do next? Okay, I have this rank order, the best model, neural network, the second best, boosting, and then the next one, random forest. I select dominant. Oh, bingo. Okay, the program I use is a SAS drum. The program put together all these model results, and then I simply, say, show me the best, the best one. Select dominant. Oh, now I have Oh, now I have, the best two model. Okay, my conclusion is much better than using a single analysis with a single sample. Okay, now I know time is running out, so I will do my next demo. My next demo is SPSS. Okay. Okay, so I already, okay, I have done, okay, all the work, okay, beforehand. So now let's look at SPSS, IBM modeler. The same thing, okay, here you see like, okay, I can just check everything, right? So, okay, run all this model and then perform a model comparison. But for now, I only, do a few, like the good old regression, random trees, random decision tree. Oh, XGBoost, yeah, okay. Also, a class, okay, this is a classify and regression tree, random forest, neural network. Okay, so to save time, I will not run it. Rather, I just show you the result. This is the result. Okay, now, like a SAS jump, it ran order. It showed me the best model is random forest. The second best, XGBoost, and then random tree. As expected, the classical regression, the classical model regression is, is at the bottom. Okay, so then I can, pick the best model, inference to the best explanation. Okay, so here are, okay, other SAS module, okay, allowing you to perform model comparison like this one, SAS Enterprise Guide, so you can import the data and then you can run all this model. Then at the end, you merge all model to perform comparison, to pick the best model, the champion model. This is another SAS product, SAS Enterprise Miner. Once again, so you can perform neural network boosting, regression, high performance random forest, and then you pick and then you perform model comparison, and then pick the best model. We call this an ensemble method, a collection of model. Okay, this is SAS Viya Model Studio. Once again, you can run neural network, regression, boosting, random forest concurrently, and then you have the so-called ensemble, a collection of model. Then you pick the best model. Okay, this is IBM. I just show you. Okay, now the conclusion is, what shall we do next? The world is changing. The only thing unchanged is change. My question is, do we want ourselves to be like Kodak, Blockbuster, and Sear? Or do we want ourselves to be like Sony, Netflix, and Amazon? Questions, comments, objection.
If you have a comment or a question, we have a few minutes here. Just unmute and speak up.
I have two questions, but I don't know if they're necessarily relevant. So I noticed in the example that when you switched between SAS and SPSS and you asked the software to select the optimal or dominant models, there was a bit of a difference in the selection and the ordination. Is that a big difference? And is that a significant factor when engaging in this process?
Okay, good question. Yes, a good observation. When you use different software package, you will not come up, you will not see the, the same findings, the same conclusion. Yeah, so, okay, this one is IBM modeler. And you know what? Actually, when I run a SAS jump, I didn't pick XGBoost, right? Okay, I think I didn't do that. Okay, let me go back and Okay, predictive modeling, model screening. Oh yeah, you know what? I didn't pick XGBoost. So if I pick XGBoost, then the result may be different. Yeah, right here. Yeah, but you are right, you know, and you will not see the same result using different software package. Okay, and as mentioned in my class, the real world is uncertain. Uncertainty is inherent. Okay. Well, you know, okay, one reason is that different software vendors, they have different algorithms. Okay, are there other comments, questions?
There's a question that Janet wrote in the chat. How do we find the best way of learning all these methods? Current degree programs don't teach these often.
Take my class. Okay, so I covered this method in Stack 553 data mining. Yeah, I cover, you know, okay, all this.
Okay. I have a question. Might be a little bit naive, but just in a broad sense, are the methods that you're talking about, the comparisons of going, when you talk about comparisons between traditional and current methods, would that be more aligned with when you're doing analyzing behavioral type data? What about just pure physical systems? Would that align more with traditional methods of data analysis, or am I misunderstanding?
So
like a physicist is looking at data in the lab of response of an electron to wavelengths of light or something like that, versus all these other types of data systems that have so many different variables and
okay, yeah, I see your point. Okay, well, okay, I don't know physics, so I cannot speak for researchers in your field. But like, you know, in health science, you know, in biology, and actually big data methods are widely employed. You know, like, you know, gene sequencing and so on. And the issue is that in biology, usually the number of predictors is much bigger than the number of observations, which means you cannot use a traditional method. You know, when you use like regression, linear regression, then when you have more predictors than observation, you don't have enough degree of freedom to estimate all the parameters. Okay, so this is doomed to fail. Okay, but you know, like you know, in some science topics, and you may encounter this situation. So the number of independent variables outnumber the number of observation.
okay.
And you do need like you know so you do need the new method, the big data method.
And there was a comment from Tammy that we use both methods in analyzing photon behavior at my current lab, my current job.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you know, okay, one more remark.
One more question and then we're going to have to close.
Oh,
I have a question.
Yeah.
So regarding data inputs, how do the emerging methodologies and models handle training bias or habituation bias? Because like the PISA data you utilize in the example tends to have bias against African countries, and typical model predictions are typically skewed towards gender and cultural or linguistic bias.
Okay. Okay, so I think what you mean is measurement error, right? Yeah. Okay, this is another, you know, okay, topic. And so it's about like a measurement, about psychometric. And so you're talking about like okay, item bias, measurement bias, and in psychometrics we use like a DIF. Okay, okay, differential item functioning, also a Raj modeling. You know, try to reduce bias and try to get the two parameters.
So would that apply even to like the algorithm that's used to predict?
Well, okay, big data method or machine learning, AI, and so on. Okay, actually cannot, how to say, you know, okay, okay, measurement is one thing, but like, you know, more, but okay, predictive modeling is another thing, you know. So when you have like biased data, then no matter what you use, like, you know, a random forest, decision tree, and so on, the result will also be biased. So I think you guys may heard about like, you know, using AI for facial recognition, right? And it's problematic because the algorithm cannot recognize people with okay, darker skin.
Certain features, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to have to close it off there. I see there's another question in the chat from
Okay.
Chang Kim, but I'm going to have to ask you to email that to Dr. Yu, and I'm sure he'll
Okay.
respond to you. Okay, I'm
That's
sorry we
fine.
missed that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I'm
and-
okay.
okay, and if you have other questions, just go ahead, and I'm volunteering him to work overtime, Dr. Yu. We are, it is time, and I just want to make a note that, and thanks for Dr. Yu taking time to prepare this and presenting this really stimulating talk here with a really broad overview of some very interesting and relevant stuff. My office is pleased to be able to present him with a $100 stipend in one of his upcoming pay periods. Okay, so if you see a little increase there in a few weeks, that's just for that time. It's not going to be a consistent raise. Okay, so but thanks so much, Dr. Yu, for great work. Okay, and thank you everybody for coming and joining this presentation. I hope you find it worthwhile and be on the lookout for it. If you want to review some of it again on the ORG YouTube channel.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Yu.